Think of candle making as a skill set, and what other ways can you use that skill set to bring in other revenue sources other than just selling candles. Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Wade. If this is your first time here, shout out to Taylor Brands, a one-stop shop for aspiring business owners, for sponsoring today's video. All right, today's video is pretty straightforward. I'm going to discuss 7 different ways that you can make money as a candle maker. We're going to start off with number 1. And it is the most obvious and standard way of bringing in revenue as a candle maker, and that is called direct sales. Now think of direct sales as really several different options. It could be shows and events. And this is the first thing that many candle makers will start off doing. I'm talking about pop-ups, craft shows, holiday events, things like that. It's an easy way to get started. It's a really good way to build some experience and some confidence, to test your products and get some feedback. You're in the early stages usually at this point, but many companies will continue to do this for their entire existence because it's a good way to engage with customers and continuing to get support and feedback as you go. So again, that is a traditional method of direct sales. However, you can also use social media for direct sales. Now I'm referring to selling on Facebook or on Instagram and really any other online presence where you have the ability to have viewers, subscribers, followers to click and shop, which leads to the third option for direct sales, which is of course your website or Etsy shop. Now this is something that takes a little bit more work to get started, but it is something that's going to probably last you the lifetime of your business. So it's important to get going on it as soon as you can because it's ultimately kind of one place that you can funnel everyone to. Now, I just wanted to go ahead and start with number 1 as direct sales. Even though most of you are familiar with those and probably already doing it, I think it's good to get that one out of the way because it really is kind of the core, the foundation, not just to get started, but to continue going as you grow your business. So let's go into number 2. Well, number 2 is indirect sales. So it's very similar to number 1 of direct sales where you're still making and selling candles. You're just doing it in a more indirect way. So the 2 most traditional ways of indirect sales is going to be wholesale and private label. Now there are some other like breakaway options that are related to private labeling, like white label and things like that, but ultimately they're all very similar. Wholesale is simply making your products, then you sell them to a retailer at a discount, usually around 50%, and then they turn around and sell those products off their shelves. So think of the candles you see at Target or Walmart, for example. They're selling other people's products in their store. And then private label is sort of similar as far as the profit and the margins go. You're making products for someone else where they're going to use their label and their brand. And so it's a little bit different. You're kind of the candle maker for someone else, but it is another indirect way of selling your products. Both of these are great options, especially as you scale and grow your business. And then each of them also have pros and cons. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about wholesaling versus private labeling and so on, I've got an entire video dedicated to that, and I do plan on talking more about this topic as well in the future. So if you're interested in that topic or any of the other topics we're talking about today and you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up by hitting the little like button below. That does help out this channel. Now, so far we've talked about more traditional, standard ways to bring in money with the candle business. Now, before we graduate to some other great options, regardless of how you plan to bring in revenue, whether it's just side income or a full-fledged business, it's important to have an identity, a name, a look, a brand. Now, this can be a challenge for most. Fortunately, there is a great option called Taylor Brands. Taylor Brands is an all-in-one resource for your business needs, whether you're currently running a candle business or aspiring to do so. From creating your logo all the way to creating your LLC, should you choose to do so, they do it all. So if you're not sure where to start, or sometimes you just feel stuck on what to do next, Taylor Brands has everything you need to help all in one place. That way you can focus on what matters most, creating great products or services. You can look professional in 60 minutes without any coding or design skills needed. From logo to a full business, launch your brand in minutes with tools like a logo maker, LLC formation, branding, packaging, website, domain, business mailbox, online and physical business cards, print, social media tools, and so much more. So if that does interest you, you can kickstart your entire business with Taylor Brands for only $3.99 a month. I will have a code and link in the description below. You can use Black Tie Barn 40 for 40% off if you choose to try them out. As I mentioned, we've talked about some of the more traditional ways to bring in revenue with candle making. However, there are other options. Now, some of them are still related directly to making and selling candles, but some of them are more related just to the skill set in general. So stay with me for these next 5 options. Number 3 is candle parties. Think of candle parties like your traditional Tupperware parties or even wine tasting parties. In fact, you can combine candle parties with wine parties for things like a sip and shop or a sip and sniff or a wine and whiff. That one doesn't sound very good, but these are really fun to do. You invite friends and family, have each friend bring another friend, and really you can just have a lot of fun with this and also make a good amount of money. There's really kind of 2 approaches to doing one of these. The first is that it's just a free event and anyone can really show up and come, and the whole point is you just try to let people sample your products and you try to sell them candles while they're there. It's just a fun little atmosphere. Everyone's hanging out and talking and maybe having some snacks and some drinks, and then you're also just trying to sell some products. The good thing is that most people coming to these are aware of what the purpose is and they will choose to support you. And then the second option for candle parties is more of a cover charge. So you charge an amount just to come to the event, and that amount will include snacks and drinks as well as X number of candles included. So let's say they pay that fee of like $50 to show up to the event, and that includes some drinks and some snacks and to hang out and have some fun, and they get to take a couple of candles home with them as well. However, you can also upsell from that point. So they've paid that amount and they get what's included, and then of course you'll have other products to sample and test, and hopefully they like some of those and purchase additional products while they're there. Candle parties are a lot of fun and they're a great way to add a little boost to your candle business, especially if you do them around the holidays because they're a great place to get some extra gifts. Number 4 is candle classes. There are other crafts that do these type of classes, like painting, for example, where you can schedule a certain day of a week, and whatever day you choose, you're going to make a painting with you and your guests, and everyone just kind of follows along with the artists themselves. Well, the candle classes can be very similar. And so there are really 2 approaches to candle classes as well. And the first is just purely educational. So people show up and you teach a class and you charge for that class. Think of in-person candle teaching, right? So you can do this online, but you can do this in person as well, and people really, really enjoy it. And then the other option is more of that one I was describing first, which is more entertainment and casual and relaxed. So people just want to show up, sort of like a candle bar, and they just want to do a quick follow along, and they make a candle with you and they get to take that candle home. It can be fun for a little night out or maybe around certain holidays again, or even Mother's Day, for example. So these candle classes are more of a fun kind of do-it-yourself version of a candle party. So a lot of fun, and again, another way to add a little boost. Now, you will have to think of space as a consideration for this. So if you don't have space at home, you just need to find a place that you can do this. So you can either rent out a space or find a place that will let you use their space, and you can just kick them back some kind of small commission. Now, number 5 is really a different direction, and that is to simply become a supplier. So you provide the supplies or the tools or the materials to other candle makers. Now, this has become more common recently because with the growth of the candle industry, there's been a need for more suppliers, not just for competitive pricing, but also just based off of location. So if you have an understanding of fragrance oils or wicks or wax or jars, or have something that you can offer the community, then this is a great option for you as well. Maybe you can put together and sell kits or other resources and tools and gadgets for other candle makers. Number 6 is an interesting one. Now, you could become a professional tester for other candle makers. Now, you can do this for new candle makers or full-fledged businesses who are always looking for testers or test groups or people to give feedback on their products. Now, some will just give you the product for free, and in return they just want your feedback, but you can actually charge for this service as well. So you would receive the product and then charge a small fee just to do some testing on that product to provide some feedback. You could do documented testing, you provide the results. Now, you can provide these results over an email or even a Zoom meeting as a kind of a recap to discuss. And rather than just giving feedback, you can actually use some of your own supply, wicks for example, to try to improve the product before you have that meeting with the customer. Now, being a professional tester is somewhat of a twist, and it's kind of an experimental one. Now, how much revenue this could bring in, I'm not quite sure. This is kind of a new idea. This is something that I think would be very beneficial to the candle community. I think people would really appreciate it, but it is something you might want to consider if you think you could do a great job of providing feedback and doing some testing for other small candle makers or businesses. And then last but not least is candle or candle business consulting. Now, not just feedback on the candle like we talked about in number 6, take this a little bit further. So if you have a particular skill set in running a business, specifically a candle business, you can offer your insight to other candle makers and other candle businesses. But you can also help other candle makers with labeling ideas, branding ideas, coming up with new scent combinations, or fragrance names for their candles. You can help them with the design and look of their entire packaging and product. There's a lot of different ways to help out other candle makers, whether it's the product itself, the presentation and the branding of the product, or the business side of things. People are always looking for help. And if you've got some real value to add, many people are completely willing to pay for it. So if you've been making candles for a while and you do have a particular skill set in the product side or the branding side or the business side, then this could be a really, really good option for you that you may want to consider. Look, the truth is there are many ways that you can bring in money as a candle maker, but don't just think of making and selling candles as the only way to have a candle business. Think of candle making as a skill set, and what other ways can you use that skill set to bring in other revenue sources other than just selling candles. So I hope these 7 ideas not only give you a little bit of motivation, but also just some food for thought to help get your own creative juices flowing. There are many more than 7 ways to make money as a candle maker, but I hope this kind of kickstarts that brainstorming, because I'm sure you can think of some on your own as well. And don't forget, if you're looking to kickstart your business, check out Taylor Brands with the link in the description below, and use code BLACKTIEBARN40 for 40% off of Taylor Brands. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all next time.